In this video I'm going to talk about sleeping bags suitable for high altitude trekking. By high altitude what I'm talking about is up to between 5,000 and 6,000 meters, that kind of trekking. And Everest Base Camp is a really good example of the type of high altitude trekking I'm talking about. Now let's just look at temperatures. Daytime temperatures are going to be around +5 to -5 degrees C, but nighttime temperatures are going to be dropping down below -10, and -15 is typical. So really you're looking at temperatures of nighttime temperatures for sleeping in of about -15 degrees centigrade. That's pre-monsoon. If you're going post-monsoon, it's going to be cooler. And then if you push the post-monsoon season later, if you go after November and go into December, which is still a very good time to go trekking, it will be colder as well. So it's those nighttime temperatures that you've got to consider, and we're going to look at bags that we can consider for that type of activity, high altitude trekking. Now, the three bags I'm going to look at are all Hispar bags. They're all from the Hispar range, and they're all K-series bags. Now the Hispar range is an extremely lightweight mountaineers bag, really high altitude bag for mountaineers and high altitude trekkers, and very, very lightweight. They're known for their unbelievable lightweight, and of course with down equipment, the lighter the weight, the smaller the pack size. They correlate, don't they? And all three of these bags are K-series bags. Now K-series products are made out of, they're filled with 1000 fillpower down, hence the name K-series, and they're made out of the lightest fabrics. They're made out of ultrashell for the outer and 10X for the inner. So the whole purpose of these bags is to give maximum warmth but at very, very lightweight figures. It's remarkable weights, these bags. There's three bags and they're just different temperatures, but I'll run through the bags and let you see them. The first bag I'm going to look at is actually the Hispa 500, and that has a typical operating temperature of -15 degrees C. So the Hispa 500, I'll show you the basic design of it first. As you can see, it's a mummy bag, and it really is a mummy shape. You've got this quite narrow hood. We call it a mummy hood. It comes narrower above the shoulders, so it's nice and close and really efficient in its warmth. Then the bag bellows out around the chest. It looks exaggerated, actually. It is quite wide there because it's not just your chest size as such, it's your shoulders and your arms. It's your arms on top of your chest and movement. It's the width is calculated to allow comfortable movement with your arms at this area. And then it comes in, the bag narrows just below the waist at the hips, and then comes narrower to below the lower leg there, and it finishes with that typical foot box. The foot area in a bag has extra down because people get cold feet, so you can see that foot box for extra warmth there. Okay, just looking at the features. Well, the outside this is the Hispa K500, and the outside is made of ultrashell. Ultrashell is a proofed fabric, permanently proofed. By that what I mean is the underside of the fabric, is proofed. It's got a spray-on treatment of PU, a lightweight proofing, and that gives it a hydrostatic head, very high hydrostatic head, better than tents actually. A lot of tents have a lower hydrostatic head than ultrashell. The outside of the fabric has a DWR coating, but DWR coating is actually very thin. It's a spray-on coating on the outer, and that rubs off quite quick. A lot of sleeping bags, when manufacturers talk about being water resistant, they're talking about a DWR coating, which doesn't last very long. It rubs off. It's very thin and it rubs off quickly. The real quality of this fabric is in the proofing underneath the fabric. You can't see it, it's the side that touches the down, and it's permanent. It'll last the lifetime of the bag. So it's a very, very useful proofing technique. It makes it water resistant and breathable, so it's really smart. Of course, this fabric isn't suitable for being used alone outside in the rain, because all the stitch lines that are running along there have made punctured little holes along the way, and water, if it was out in the rain, water would eventually go in through the cotton, soak into the cotton and soak in through the holes. So it's not like a waterproof shell, but it gives the bag a great deal of protection inside a tent. And if you've got condensation, and at minus 15 degrees C, you're likely to get condensation, freezing on the inside of the tent as well as on the as water on the outside. If it is damp, you certainly get condensation, freezing on the inside of the tent, and this bag is protected from that. If you're rubbing up, if the bag's rubbing against the side of the tent, the fabric is protecting the down from that dampness. It does a great job of that. A lot of people talk about getting damp down the foot area of a bag, because we naturally slide towards the end of the tent a little bit at night, don't we? If your head's higher, you slide down a little bit, and you find that this end is often touching a tent. Well, ultra shell fabric is a super way to handle that problem and really reduce the trouble of dampness getting onto the down. So the outer is ultra shell on the Hispar bags, the Hispa K bags. The inner is 10X. It's a very lightweight, downproof fabric, very soft and very light and very comfortable. The lighter the fabric, the better with down. We're using this 1000 fillpower down, and we're looking for maximum performance. Well, use a lightweight fabric and it improves the performance. If you use a heavier fabric, it compresses the down. So these fabrics are extremely light to get the best out of that down. The bag has a collar and a short zip there for entry. Now, let's just have a look. So that's the Hispa 500, and that hits the brief. It's minus 15 degrees C. A really good bag. Very good for UK winters as well. So the Hispa 500 is an absolutely superb piece of equipment. Now let's just put that to one side. That's the Hispa 500K. This bag here is the Hispa 400. So it's the same design, a mummy shape and so on. It's got a collar and so on. And this one's rated at minus 9 degrees C. So this would certainly be suitable for pre-monsoon. And if you're the hardy type, if you don't get cold in a bag, this one is certainly worth considering. Of course, PhD sleep systems is well developed now. And by sleep systems, what I mean is the knowledge and the use of down clothing inside a down sleeping bag. So, for instance, in this bag, if you wore a minimus, well, this is a minimus. If you wore a minimus jacket plus minimus down trousers plus minimus socks, that would boost the sleeping bag by another 10 degrees, and that would work inside this bag. You wouldn't need a wide or anything. I could wear this with down trousers inside this bag. So this bag's minus 9, but if I wore down clothing inside it, that set of clothing, minimus, it would take it down to minus 19. So really brilliant way of making use of clothing that you're already taking with you on the mountain and a very lightweight sleeping bag. Why would you do that? Well, the sleeping bag's much lighter, isn't it? You're taking a really lightweight piece of kit there. If you're using a minimus, you've already got it with you, so you're already on your way to building a sleep system. Anyway, I digress. I'm going on to the topic of sleep systems, which is something else. If you want to know more about sleep systems, have a look at PhD's website. We've got a separate area in advice that gives a lot of detail about sleep systems and how to combine the lightest possible sleeping bag with down clothing. Anyway, so that's the Minim 400. It's not as warm as the 500. It's lighter. If you're the hardy type, or if you're building a sleep system, it's also a very good piece of equipment for high altitude trekking. Now let's just go the other end. So we've gone with the Hispa 500, we've gone lighter to the Hispa 400. Let's have a look at Hispa 600 here. Right, now this bag is much warmer. This bag is actually, the bag I've got here is actually, I'll just move that out of the way so you can see it better. There you go. Now, this is a wide bag. I'll just talk about the size options. With these Hispar sleeping bags, we can make 16 different sizes. We can make 4 different lengths and 4 different widths. So standard bags, fine, but we can make a shorter bag in length, we can make a longer bag, or we can make an extra long bag. So it really covers, it's something for everybody. In terms of width, we can make a standard. Of course, we can cut it as an extra slim. Sorry, just a slim. I shouldn't say extra because it's slim. So we do standard, we do slim, we do wide, and we do extra wide. Now, PhD, it's not like PhD is quite an unusual company. We make sleeping bags to order. We make them individually. We cut them by hand, and we build them to order. We don't have stock as such. Every individual order is individually made, and that allows us to, unlike a large mass manufacturing system, we're a much smaller bespoke cottage industry workshop really, and that allows us to make it just how you want it. So if you want, it's very important, it's very, very useful in fact, to get a sleeping bag that fits right. It's okay having a mummy shape, but it has to be good fit as well. If you need a short bag, why take a long? You've just taken extra weight, you didn't need it. If you're a very slim person, why take a standard width? There's too much airspace in the bag, and it should fit correctly. So if you need a slim, we'll make a slim so it fits correctly and it's as warm as it should be. It's absolutely vital that you get this fit thing. It's really worth concentrating on the fit there. If you have a standard bag and you need a long, you're going to struggle. The reason for that actually is because although you can get in a bag, even if you're long for a sleeping bag, you can get in it. It's when you cinch down the hood that it matters. I'll just try and show you. When you cinch down the hood, it just comes down a little bit. And if why would you'll cinch down the hood, won't you? If you're cold, you're trying to make it warmer and keep the cold out. And when you do that, you just need enough space in the bag to be able to shuffle down a little bit and allow that hood to compress more around you. So that's why the length of a bag is important. If it's too short for you, you can't shut it down quite enough, and again it won't be as warm as you want it to be. So when you select a bag with us, have a look at the sizes and we'll cut one to fit you. Now, the other thing, let's just have a look at the options on sleeping bags. This one's a wide, as I say, it looks big. It is a wide bag. In terms of zips, when we make these bags, we can put a short zip in. I showed you the short zip on the Hispa 500. We could put a long zip in, like this one. It goes all the way down to the base there. This is a two-way zip, so you can actually undo the base and cool your feet. So there's an advantage in that. If you get warm feet, and you just want to cool them down, you can open the bottom of the bag, get your feet to cool down, get some fresh air in there. The other thing about zips is we can put in a short zip or a long zip. On a Hispar bag you have to have some sort of zip so you can get into it. But we can put it on the left or the right. If you're a right-handed person, if you're lying on your back, if you're right-handed, you would normally have the zip on the left-hand side so you can reach over and undo it. It's not easy to undo it just by your shoulder here, so you would reach over. If you're left-handed, you would normally put it on the right shoulder. So we can put the zips wherever you need them. We can change the sizes, so 16 different sizes we can make them in. And of course, when we alter the size, we alter the downfill weight, because we're working towards the typical operating temperature. We don't change that. So if it's a smaller bag, there's less down in it. If it's a longer bag, there's more down in it, and so on. And there's colour options, of course. You'll see those on the website. There is, right, let's just look a little bit closer at this 600. The 600 is rated at a typical operating temperature of -21. So it is warmer than the Hispa 500. If you feel the cold, if you know you feel the cold, it's worth considering the Hispa 600 for these sorts of trips. And equally, if you're going higher, if you're going to do something like Mirror Peak, where you might go higher, it's unlikely you'll you'll sleep higher. But if you do get into colder scenarios, the Hispa 600 is worth it. And of course, post-monsoon, and certainly later into the year, if you're going in December to the Himalayas, it's worth a thought. Do you want that extra potential from the sleeping bag? The other way to look at it is sleep systems. Again, sleep systems are so handy. They're a real area for an increase in knowledge to be developed, and that is the use of typically down clothing actually inside a sleeping bag. We all know that if you wear extra clothes in your bag, it helps you get warmer. But with down clothing, you can seriously improve the warmth of a sleeping bag. The minimus clothing, down jacket, down trousers, down socks, would add 10 degrees C to a bag. So for any of these bags, brilliant way to increase the warmth if it's gone colder than you expect. One last thing about the zips. When you're trekking in these sorts of altitudes, of course, lower down at 5,000 to 6,000 metres, we're talking about -15, say, but lower down it'd be a lot warmer, and so a full length zip is a good idea. It's a thought because it really allows you to vent and get air into that bag and cool you down. And low down, you really don't need such a warm piece of equipment. So a full length zip is a thought. Just show you there, we've got a double draft tube on these zips. That's because zips, they're not airtight. Cold air gets in very easily at that point. And a double zip tube, or a double draft tube, you can see it there, it really seals together, and then the zip closes it and pushes it together. That really insulates that area. On the 600 here, we've got, you can see in fact on all the Hispars there's a collar, a down-filled collar to really seal the heat in low down into the bag. So those are 3 sleeping bags. It just so happens I'm making recommendations here that the Hispa K series are the bags to take. Why do I do that? That's because they're so light, and when you're carrying stuff in a rucksack, that's just as important as how warm it is. You want both. You want the correct warmth, but you want it as light as you can get it, and that's where the Hispars have really scored. They've gone with these the best down, 1,000 fillpower down. It's the best down in the world, and it gives us the best loft. And to get that really at its peak, we've gone with very, very lightweight fabrics, the water-resistant outer and the 10x inner. The downs, 1,000 fillpower down, of course, is the best. It's 100% pure goose down. It's 100% pure goose down, so a very, very high quality down, and it's a natural down. It's not been chemically enhanced in some way to make it stiffer or change its properties. It's a natural, very, very high performing, high quality down. In terms of lifespan, we've got bags in our factory that now are 50 years old, and the down lofts like it did on day one. And this sort of equipment here, it's not low cost and throwawayable type gear. It's the sort of gear that will last a lifetime, and you would pass it on to the next generation. So it's a very high quality piece of equipment. We build our equipment to last for years and years and years, correctly washed, correctly stored, dried fully after it's been washed, or dried fully after it's been used, and with this sort of quality of down, it'll last for years, and the performance of the down will be maintained for years and years and years. Okay, so there's 3 bags that I would recommend for high altitude trekking. If there was one bag I would take, it would be the Hispa 500. That's the bag I would select, and the reason I say that is it's absolutely bang on with its temperature. Plus, if I wanted to go warmer, I would use a Minimus or a Yukon set of clothing inside it and build and boost it massively. The temperatures can be improved hugely by using the down clothing you've got. So for me, the best bag, the one I would take, would be the Hispa 500. Okay, cheers.